Thank you very much. Prime Minister Gentiloni, welcome. Great honor. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you in our wonderful People's House, known as the White House. And so many great Italian friends are with us today. And we renew always the deep ties of history and friendship that link together the American and the Italian peoples. That history traces its roots to the timeless contributions of Italy to civilization and human progress, so true. Stretching all the way back to ancient Rome, through the ages, your country has been a beacon of artistic and scientific achievement. That continues today. From Venice to Florence, from Verdi to Pavarotti, friend of mine, great friend of mine. These bonds of history and culture have only grown stronger as our two nations have become close partners, dear friends, and very vital allies. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm thrilled that you are here today to discuss how we can make this great relationship even more productive in the years to come. On the economy, Italy is one of America's largest trading partners. A lot of people don't know that. We both seek a trading relationship that is balanced, reciprocal. I love the word reciprocal, because we don't have too many reciprocal trading partnerships, I will tell you that, but we will very soon. And fair, benefiting both of our countries, and we can work together to achieve that outcome, and that will happen. Italy is also a key partner in the fight against terrorism. Italy is now the second largest contributor of troops to the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. I would also like to thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership on seeking stabilization in Libya and for your crucial efforts to deny ISIS a foothold in the Mediterranean. You fought hard. We're grateful for your role in the anti-ISIS campaign. All nations must condemn this barbaric enemy and support the effort to achieve its total and complete destruction. Also, as you know, Mr. Prime Minister, we have more than 30,000 American service members, families, and personnel who are stationed across your country. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full and fair share. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full and fair share. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full and fair share. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. As we reaffirm our support for historic institutions, we must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. We reaffirm our support for historic institutions. We must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay their full. We reaffirm our support for historic institutions. We must also reaffirm the requirement that everyone must pay. I know it well. I love the people of Italy. We have 18 million Italians living in the United States, people originally from Italy. And it's a great honor to have many of them as my friends. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for hosting us here. I'm honored to be here at the White House today. and I'll now switch to Italian. Abbiamo
We had a very fruitful meeting, which reflects an ancient friendship, as the President reminded us with his words. This friendship is also a sign of the 18 million Italian Americans who have such an important role in our country, in this country. And this friendship is witnessed also by the fact that Italy is the second choice for American students who study abroad. And we're very proud of this. And this confirms the importance that the United States gives to the cultural dimension of our country. As the President himself just said, this friendship is based on a common commitment against terrorism. This commitment is a commitment in which we are both very active. Our country is very active in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and I think that the stabilization work will be decisive. The stabilization work of Iraq after the military defeat that we expect for Daesh. We know that this action against terrorism must take place within our individual countries in Europe, with the social and cultural commitment against radicalization by cooperating with Islamic communities. Italy contributes to peace and to stability in the Mediterranean. In Syria, where I believe the U.S. choice to react to the use of chemical weapons by Bashar al-Assad, and where a negotiated solution is more necessary than ever. In Libya, and we discussed this in our meeting, where we need to work against the division of the country in order to stabilize it. This is a very decisive task if we want to manage the migratory flows without giving up on our values and our humanitarian principles. And we need to contrast the horrible traffic of people and clandestine refugees. Italy is convinced of its strategic commitment in favor of the transatlantic relationship. We have also spoken about common commitments in NATO and the goals that were identified in 2014 and the commitments on military expenses and the contribution. We are proud of our contribution. And finally, Italy is a country of dialogue. We are proud because we succeeded in keeping open the doors in difficult crises. Dialogue can be useful even vis-à-vis Russia, without obviously giving up our unity and our principles, and without giving up our strength and our values. I also told President Trump that we have confidence, even though this is a difficult moment, and we all know it's difficult right now. We have confidence in the future of the European Union, and certainly in the importance of the relationship between the U.S. and Italy. These are the two pillars that the transatlantic relationship is based on, and great part of peace and freedom in the world. We are going through a difficult time, but I have confidence that the European Union will continue to be a positive response to this. And finally, we are expecting and look forward to the President's visit to the summit in Taormina. And I trust that this will be the opportunity to show him the unity of our leaders and of the principal free economies of the planet. Because right now, we really do need this unity. Once again, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Take a few questions. John Roberts of Fox, please.
Mr. President, thanks so much. I hope you'll forgive me for asking you a three-part question. It's been a while. In just the last few minutes, and I believe it was while you were meeting with the Prime Minister, there was a shooting in downtown Paris. It's
that.
being described as a potential terrorist attack. I wonder if you have something on that. And further to that, two of the big trouble spots that you're dealing with right now, North Korea and Iran. Do you believe that the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, is mentally unstable? Is that one of the reasons why you're so concerned about these latest developments? Is he a man who can be reasoned with? And on Iran, do you have reason to suspect that they are cheating on the JCPOA? And to Mr. Prime Minister, you talked just a moment ago about your commitment to NATO. President Trump would like to see all NATO members contribute 2% of their GDP to NATO. Your contribution is slightly less than 1%. Will you commit to committing 2% of your GDP to the alliance going forward? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I love the question you asked the Prime Minister. I look forward to his answer, because I'm going to be asking him that same question very soon. Well, first of all, our condolences from our country to the people of France. Again, it's happening, it seems. I just saw it as I was walking in, so that's a terrible thing, and it's a very, very terrible thing that's going on in the world today. But it looks like another terrorist attack, and what can you say? It just never ends. And we have to be strong and we have to be vigilant, and I've been saying it for a long time. As far as North Korea is concerned, we are in very good shape. We're building our military rapidly. A lot of things have happened over the last short period of time. I've been here for approximately 91 days. We're doing a lot of work. We're in very good position. We're going to see what happens. I can't answer your question on stability. I hope the answer is a positive one, not a negative one. But hopefully that will be something that gets taken care of. I have great respect for the president of China. As you know, we had a great summit in Florida and Palm Beach, and got to know each other, and I think like each other. I can say from my standpoint, I liked him very much, I respect him very much, and I think he's working very hard. I can say that all of the pundits out there are saying they never have seen China work like they're working right now. Many coal ships have set back, many other things have happened. Some very unusual moves have been made over the last 2 or 3 hours, and I really have confidence that the president will try very hard. We don't know whether or not they're able to do that, but I have absolute confidence that he will be trying very, very hard. And one of the reasons that we're talking about trade deals and we're talking about all of the different things, but we're slowing up a little bit. I actually told him, I said, you'll make a much better deal on trade if you get rid of this menace or do something about the menace of North Korea, because that's what it is. It's a menace right now. So we'll see what happens. As far as Iran is concerned, I think they are doing a tremendous disservice to an agreement that was signed. It was a terrible agreement. It shouldn't have been signed. It shouldn't have been negotiated the way it was negotiated. I'm all for agreements, but that was a bad one, as bad as I've ever seen negotiated. They are not living up to the spirit of the agreement, I can tell you that. And we're analyzing it very, very carefully, and we'll have something to say about it in the not-too-distant future. But Iran has not lived up to the spirit of the agreement. And they have to do that. They have to do that. So we will see what happens. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prima di tutto,
First of all, allow me to join President Trump's words for what happened in Paris. These words of condolences and closeness to the French people. And this is a very delicate period for them. There's just 3 days before the election. As far as the question is concerned, the commitment has been made. It was made during a NATO summit. And we are used to respecting our commitments. We know that this will be a gradual process. It has already begun. And we know that Italy has certain limitations when it comes to its budget, but despite these limitations, our commitment for common defense is very clear. And as I said earlier, I'm very proud not only of the progress made in our financial commitment, but also proud of the contribution that we give to the security of the alliance in so many areas of the world. We talked about Iraq and Afghanistan, but we could also talk about the Baltic Sea or the Balkans. And in all of these areas, you will see the presence of Italian forces within the alliance, and we are proud of that.
Giovanna Pancari.
Sky News.
Sky Italia. Prima per
First, for you, President Gentiloni, I wanted to ask you, we saw from this new administration a new type of policy on the international scene, very different from what we had in the past. And one of the last important operations which was carried out by President Trump was in Syria, with a bombing following the use of chemical weapons by the Assad regime. I wanted to ask you, does Italy think or conceive a possibility to take action in more action in Syria?
Since my colleague from Fox News did, so I'm gonna take as well the possibility to ask you two questions. First of all, about European Union. You have said in the past that Brexit was a great thing and that you think that other countries will follow. So you know that Italy is an important player and supporter of European integration. Do you believe that actually a strong Europe is important for the United States, also looking forward at the French election? And then the second question is that you said that you're looking forward to come to Italy for the G7, and I wanted to know if you're also looking forward, if it's going to be possible to meet Pope Francis during your Italian trip. Thank you.
Syria.
Syria. We immediately assessed the operation that was ordered by President Trump and decided that this is a motivated response to the use of chemical weapons. We added that it's up to everyone to consider negotiation as the road through which we hopefully can put an end to this infinite dramatic war and come to peace. Italy is not directly involved in the operations, in the military operations in Syria, other than marginal aspects. But it's not our plan to change this attitude.
Yes, a strong Europe is very, very important to me as President of the United States, and it's also, in my opinion, in my very strong opinion, important for the United States. We want to see it. We will help it be strong, and it's very much to everybody's advantage, and I look very much forward to meeting the Pope. Fabian of the Hill. Fabian? Yes.
like society isn't Andy. Thanks so much. Well, it's a pleasure to be talking to people who have experience with campus that doesn't involve protesters and screaming children and all the other fun things that we tend to associate with the American left these days. So other than Hillsdale, America's college campuses have become a breeding ground for failure, career failure and moral failure and emotional failure. There's a reason that when you go to hire college students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries for having majored in lesbian dance theory. College students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries for having majored in lesbian dance theory. College students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries for having majored in lesbian dance theory. College students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries for having majored in lesbian dance theory. College students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries for having majored in lesbian dance theory. College students these days, what you tend to get is a group of entitled brats who think they should get six-figure salaries. Campus were being targeted for destruction. The administrators clearly hated black folks, which is why they let them in with lower SAT scores. And so there are all sorts of protesters who showed up at campuses all over America. So 200 students at Vandy decided that they wanted to protest the white privilege and microaggressions of the administration. We'll define those terms in just a few minutes. They didn't give any particular examples of what the discrimination looked like, but it didn't.
Mr. President, it is a great honor to have you here at Treasury. Since day one, I have made clear that our priority in working for you is delivering economic growth for hardworking Americans. To this end, we are focused on achieving comprehensive tax reform and regulatory relief for the American people. Your core principles of financial regulations have been guiding our work here and will continue to do so. I am happy to report that we are busy in our review, not just of Dodd-Frank, but the broader economic framework as well. We have met with stakeholder groups of hundreds of people representing small banks, big banks, non-financial institutions, consumers, and regulators. This review is thorough and mindful of our goals. We look forward to delivering our findings in June. Your directives today further highlight the priority of this administration places on fair and efficient regulatory relief. They provide further focus and depth to our mission here. We're going to go back and look to see if the processes regarding orderly liquidation authority and financial stability oversight designations make sense. We now have a targeted mandate in place to review both. As instructed, I will report back to you on our findings. In the interim, you are calling for a much-needed timeout from the Financial Stability Council's process for designating financial institutions as systemically important. Until that review is completed, we have agreed not to designate any new non-bank financial institutions, except in cases of emergency. Our goal is to make this smarter, more effective process that reduces the kind of systemic risks that harmed so many Americans during the financial crisis of 2008. On orderly liquidation authority, we are going to look closely to evaluate whether its framework is consistent with your core principles. We intend to provide a clear analysis of the extent to which OLA encourages inappropriate risk-taking and the extent of taxpayer liability. We will also note where additions to the bankruptcy code may be more appropriate avenue for resolving financial distress. Finally, today's executive order launches a re-examination of last year's major tax regulations to make sure they do not unduly strain Americans and the economy. The order calls for revision or repeal of harmful rules that impose unnecessary costs and complexity on taxpayers. I look forward to taking a hard look at the immense regulatory burden of our tax code, which consumes billions of productive hours in compliance costs. A significant amount of time has passed since the crisis. With the passage of time and with your leadership, we are now well positioned to evaluate what works and what doesn't. We believe in clear and effective regulations, but not regulations for its own sake. Where we can do so, we will lift the burden of excessive regulation to make sure that banks can lend, small businesses can borrow, and Americans' work can thrive. So on behalf of the entire staff here at Treasury, who work tirelessly to make this country prosperous and safe, I want to extend our warmest welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. I just want to thank my people. I must say, it's a great pleasure to be at the United States Treasury Department and to meet so many dedicated public servants. I went through that beautiful hallway with those incredible paintings of past secretaries, and it was really very interesting. I want to read every one. I want to learn about every one of them, but we have one that I hope will go down as one of the greats. I think Hamilton is tough to beat, but maybe you can do that too. We'll take it, right? But thank you very much. The Treasury Department is the guardian of America's wealth and a worldwide symbol of American prestige. This department was first led by the same gentleman, Alexander Hamilton, a man who understood that the government must protect the jobs of its citizens and the wealth of our nation. Secretary Mnuchin, who I've known for so long, and he's so good and so smart and so financially adept, is working very hard every day to do just that, to protect the working citizen of America and to safeguard our finances from anyone, anybody, any nation who would try to take advantage of the United States. His vast experience and financial talent are now being put into service on behalf of the American people, and you'll see what I mean very soon. We have taken unprecedented action to bring back our jobs and return power to our citizens. It's been taken away. We've lifted one terrible regulation after another at a record clip, from the energy sector to the auto sector, and we have many more to go, and that's going to be happening over the next, I would say, 4 to 5 weeks. And we've begun a historic effort to protect our manufacturing and our manufacturing businesses, companies, and our workers from unfair foreign trade. Protecting our treasury also means getting other countries to finally pay their fair share for the cost of defense and many other global projects that for too long have fallen under our guidance and unfortunately fallen under the United States taxpayer expense. And we're going to end that. We're going to end it quickly. We want fairness. We don't want to take advantage of anyone. We want fairness. We're now in the process of rebuilding America, and there's a new optimism sweeping across our country like people have not seen in many, many decades. We're here today to continue this great economic revival. I will be signing 3 presidential directives to further protect our workers and our taxpayers. The first executive action instructs Secretary Mnuchin to begin the process of tax simplification. It's such a big thing. People can't do their returns. They have no idea what they're doing. They're too complicated. This regulatory reduction is a first step toward a tax reform that reduces rates, provides relief to our middle class, and lowers our business tax, which is one of the highest in the world and has stopped us from so much wealth and productivity. Secretary Mnuchin is a leader in our effort to make America competitive again. We're going to make it great again. We're going to make it strong again. We're going to make it safe again. And we're going to make it competitive again. I'm also issuing 2 directives that instruct Secretary Mnuchin to review the damaging Dodd-Frank regulations that fail to hold Wall Street firms accountable. I mean, they've done really, in many cases, the opposite of what they were supposed to. These regulations enshrine too big to fail and encourage risky behavior. We're taking steps to make our economy more fair and prosperous for all. As part of our broader financial strategy, we're working to open up lending to small businesses and entrepreneurs, including our incredible women entrepreneurs who are doing better and better and better. We want opportunity for everyone and in every single part of our country. Secretary Mnuchin and my entire administration are working around the clock to help struggling Americans achieve their financial dreams, earn a great paycheck, have a job that they love going to every single day, and have real confidence in the future. Together, we will restore prosperity to this nation, a nation that we so dearly love, and to bring people who call this home into a great, great way of living and a great way of life. They're going to be thrilled, we're going to be thrilled, and you're going to be seeing some very, very major changes. You've already seen them. I don't know if anybody's looked recently, but you looked at optimism indexes that are just coming out, manufacturing in particular, where it's up to the highest point it's ever been, 93%. It was a 27% increase over the last one. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is such a privilege for me to sign. This is really the beginning of a whole new way of life that this country hasn't seen in really many, many years. I want to thank you, and I want to God bless America. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay. So this is identifying and reducing tax regulatory burdens. That covers a lot of territory, too, believe me. Senator, how about you get the first one, okay? Can you handle that?
I think I'll give it to the congressman.
Okay.
For my son.
Our son.
Oh, that's even better, I like it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, hey, great boy. This is the subject of financial stability, the Oversight Council. Very important. Okay, this one, thank you. Thank you. This is Orderly Liquidation Authority. Doesn't sound like much, but it is. That's a biggie. It doesn't sound good, but it is.
That's right, we're in financial services, so
That's right.
it's a big for us.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And we'll be having a big announcement on Wednesday having to do with tax reform. The process has begun long ago, but it really formally begins on Wednesday, so go through it.
I will, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.